Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. Fine, I said flatly. Juna's voice grew louder. Fine. Did you hear what I said? Yes, dear, you're going on a date this Friday with another man, and you're okay with that. Her surprise was palpable. Not at all. But what choice do I have? As you pointed out, I don't control you. You're your own person. Your tone and expression make it clear you're determined to go through with it. So what other option do I have? I'll be back. Don't let your fragile male ego get in the way. I love you, and I'll make this up to you, you'll see. So you know it's wrong, I replied calmly. What do you mean? I never said that. I deserve this. Will your parents and my parents agree with you? Gina looked down, unable to answer, clearly indicating guilt. I allowed the silence to linger, sensing her inner struggle. You know, as well as I do, that they won't. You admitted what you're doing is wrong when you said you'll make it up to me. What? When? Why else would you need to make it up to me? If it were just lunch with friends or a haircut, there'd be no need. You said it because you know it's wrong, and that makes you an unethical person. Her uncertainty crept into her voice. But you said I could do it, she protested. No, I never did and I never will. I only acknowledge that I can't stop you. I do not approve. I wish you would stay with me or go out with me. We could go to the same restaurant and the same club afterward. But it's not about the meal or the dancing, is it? It's about the company you prefer. And that company isn't me. You want me, right? Once more, she lowered her head in silence. What's his name, anyway? It's not important. Fine, I won't argue about that. Just know this. I don't want you to go with Mr. P-Hound, and there will be consequences if you do. What consequences? Like you and Mr. Hound, I won't say. You're not just beautiful, you're intelligent too. I told you that countless times, not because I have to, but because I mean it. I'll leave it to you to figure out the consequences of choosing him over me. You're bluffing. You love me. You always give me what I want. Well, I want this. And like I said, I'll be back. And we'll love each other and grow old together. I can't stop you from making foolish choices, but you've been warned. You're on your own. With that, I grabbed my keys and left before she could say another word. The atmosphere in the apartment throughout the entire week was undeniably frosty. Thursday night, I gathered my belongings and relocated to the guest room. What's going on, Felix? She questioned. Pausing with a handful of clothes, I regarded her with a hint of exasperation. Looks like I overestimated your comprehension. What do you think I'm doing? Are you leaving? She asked. A hint of concern in her voice. Yes, my wife wants to pursue other relationships. Do you honestly believe I'd share a bed with a woman who's straying? Not a chance, she retorted, her tone dripping with mockery and childishness. You're such a little boy. Afraid your little ego will get hurt. Without a word, I placed the clothes in the spare closet and returned for another load. So now you're punishing the big bad witch with your silence, she smirked. Can you see how pathetic you are? Consequences, was my only retort. She couldn't claim ignorance. She'd been warned. Friday afternoon, I left work early and headed to an upscale unisex salon, treating myself to a professional contemporary haircut, a precise straight razor shave, and a subtle manicure. No flashy nail polish, though. Next door at the men's clothing store, I selected a smart casual button-down shirt, pants, and jacket. While I briefly considered new shoes, I reasoned that fresh kicks and dancing might not mesh well, so I passed on that idea. On the way home, I swung by the car wash for a thorough deep clean, leaving my truck looking immaculate. Back at home, I took a refreshing shower. As I heard Gina arrive and head for her own shower, I descended to the living room and waited. Half an hour later, she descended in a new little black dress I hadn't seen before, revealing a tantalizing glimpse of cleavage. Pausing on the final step, she looked at me, seemingly expecting a compliment. When I remained silent, she glanced at me again, her eyes widening. Wow, you look great. Where are you off to? Out. What else? I parodied her condescending tone. Did you think your clueless husband would just sit at home, twiddling his thumbs, waiting for you to grace us with your presence? Shaking my head. I opened the door to the garage and added curtly, and here I thought you were perceptive. How mistaken can one person be? Well, I don't want to keep Melissa waiting. With a satisfied smile, I slipped into my spotless truck, hearing her scream in the background. Gotcha. Melissa and I enjoyed a delightful evening at a wine bar known for its light dinners and live piano performances on weekends, which livened up its modest dance floor. Our report at work had already revealed that conversation flowed effortlessly between us. Even more gratifying was her appreciation for my sense of humor. It may sound like a cliche, but it's undeniably true. There are few things as heartwarming for a man as a woman who laughs at his jokes. We clicked effortlessly, and on more than one occasion, our lips brushed gently against ears, cheeks, and lips, igniting a spark between us that felt nothing short of magical. However, we both acknowledged the reality that I was still married, and we respected the boundaries that entailed. So we spent the evening leisurely, sipping wine, and indulging in playful flirtation with our eyes as we conversed. As I dropped Melissa off at her apartment, she did me a favor by dabbing a drop of her perfume on my shirt and leaving traces of her freshly applied lipstick on my collar, neck, and cheek. With a playful peck on the cheek, she bid me good night. "Go get her, Tiger," she teased. We shared a laugh as I climbed into my truck and headed home. It was barely 10 when I strolled into the Big Chill. "Where the hell have you been?" Jaina demanded. "None of your business," I retorted, unfazed. "You never disclosed where you went with your mysterious Mr. P. Hound. I would have asked if you used protection, but frankly, I couldn't care less if you suffer the consequences, because I'm done with your deceitful, cheating ways. So, I couldn't care less about your whereabouts, activities, or companions. I had an amazing time, and for that, I thank you very much." "What do you mean, thank me?" Jaina's voice trembled with frustration. "Don't you see? If you hadn't foolishly suggested opening up our marriage, I wouldn't have had the chance to get to know Melissa better. What an incredible woman, smoking hot." "Thank you, dear," I muttered. Suddenly, Jaina let out a piercing scream, making me worry if a neighbor might call the police. You know, I despise her. Why do you think she was the first person I called?" I added. Astonished, Jaina stared at me, her expression a mix of shock and disbelief. Wah, what did you say?" "Once again, I seem to have overestimated your intellect," I remarked. "Pull yourself together for a moment. This isn't rocket science. You decided to reject me and flaunt it by dolling up for some anonymous jerk, wearing outfits you've never worn for me, and now you're surprised that I follow suit. You altered the terms of our marriage against my wishes, and I simply mirrored your actions. The only difference is I had the decency to tell you who I went out with. For some strange reason, you're too ashamed of your partners to reveal their identities. So, Ms. Rocket Scientist, what exactly is your issue?" The wind was knocked out of Gina's sails, and tears welled up in her eyes. Without giving her a chance to respond, I pressed on. "Let me guess. Jack Robinson didn't sweep you off your feet like you'd hoped." Another squeal, this time filled with anguish, pierced the air, accompanied by hands clasped over her mouth. "How did you find out?" Jenna exclaimed. In a tone reminiscent of a game show announcer, I declared, "And once again, your intellectual shortcomings are laid bare for all to see. Consider, if you will, you work in an office with at least 10 other women, and Jack is renowned as the biggest womanizer in the world. Everyone there knows who's involved with whom, and gossip runs rampant. You used to partake in it as well, so my dear, did you truly believe you'd be an exception? For over a month, several of your supposed friends have been informing me of your susceptibility to Jack's charms, suggesting you were not only falling for his manipulations, but actively seeking them out." "Googly eyes," as one of your co-workers put it, I remarked casually. "Who knows, perhaps he left her for you. Hell had no fury in all that. Word on the street was that tonight was the night he intended to claim you as his own, with a room reserved at the Marriott," I continued, observing her reaction closely. "Apparently, he prefers the Marriott for the initial encounter, followed by Motel 6 or the woman's residence. Were you unaware of that?" Her widened eyes betrayed her shock and dismay at being exposed as knave and an easy target. Tears streamed down her face as she confessed, "Oh, Felix, I'm so sorry. You're right. I've been such a fool. How can you stand to be married to such a stupid woman like me?" "Ah, Jaina, here's the good news. I don't have to. I don't need to remain married to your foolish, promiscuous self. Divorce papers will be served to you tomorrow morning. We're only renting this house and we have 3 more months on the lease, so you can either renew it or use the time to find something more suitable. Her voice trembled as she asked, "Where will you go?" "Melissa has offered me a place to stay while I sort things out. She has a spare bedroom she's using as an office. Once the divorce is finalized, she suggested we explore more favorable terms. Very promising ones, I must say. I'm looking forward to delving into them further. Everything else you and I have, we'll just split down the middle. Now you can sleep with whoever you want, and you won't have to endure the reproaches of a wimpy husband. I hope Jack is worth it." Epilogue. I convened with some of the other husbands who fell prey to Jack, also known as Mr. Hound. One evening after dinner, he discovered his car vandalized, windows shattered, paint scratched, baby excrement smeared on the seats, wheels stolen, and various other damages. As he assessed the destruction, 3 masked assailants, all clad in black, silently robbed him and subjected him to a severe beating. The police were confounded as to why the attackers, seemingly after his wallet and counterfeit Rolex, would also inflict such brutal injuries to his groin. With no witnesses and the parking lot cameras defaced, their investigation hit a dead end. In the meantime, the authorities of his victims were engrossed in a poker game at one of their residences. After his recovery, Jack decided to move out of state. His current whereabouts remain a mystery and are largely inconsequential. Jaina, after securing an apartment, eventually moved out as well. Upon realizing my contentment with Melissa, she also decided to relocate to another state. Our paths never crossed again. I remained with Melissa for a while, but we both came to the realization that short-term satisfaction didn't necessarily translate to long-term compatibility. Consequently, I found a townhouse nearby and settled there. As time went by, I matured, gained wisdom, and became more physically fit. I developed a strong bond with a fellow member of my gym. Naturally, one thing led to another, and I discovered happiness with someone who possessed genuine intelligence and unwavering loyalty. Second story. Need advice. Caught him sexting. I-29th. Live with my boyfriend, 32 meters. We've been together for a year and moved in together 3 months in. I've been put through the ringer in all of my past relationships, if you can even call them that, with lying, manipulation, cheating, and so on. Everything in my current relationship has seemed great to me and everyone around us. I'd had suspicions before about cheating, but I always chalked it up to my past relationship trauma, and my boyfriend has been nothing but loving, reassuring, and understanding. I got home early from work, and while cleaning, I found my boyfriend's old phone. I know. Curiosity got the best of me, and I decided to turn it on and go through it. I found out that he's been sexting multiple women the entire time we've been together, exchanging nudes, sending videos of himself masturbating with my belongings and my dog in the background. Back in December, we were taking a trip back to his home state to visit his family, and he flew out a day earlier than I could due to work, and he tried to meet up with one of the women on his one free night while I was on a red-eye flying out to meet him. The only reason he didn't succeed is because she was sick. I have no proof of physical cheating, but obviously this qualifies as cheating in my book. Now here is where I need the advice. Do I tell him I found out and went through his phone, or do I casually bring up that I view sexting as cheating and see what he says? I am planning on ending the relationship regardless. This is an extreme deal breaker to me, especially due to my past experiences. Thanks for joining us on this chapter of Relation Tales. If you were moved by these stories, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Don't miss out on the upcoming emotional roller coaster of relationships. Your support means the world, and we can't wait to share more compelling tales with you. Until next time, remember, every relationship has a story worth telling. See you soon.